Hello friends, here we are again on the mat. We're starting with our feet as usual. Lift tall and flex. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, let's take heels down, toes up, spread them out. We're gonna tap and lift the big toes. Keep your cores engaged, stand tall, press the big toes down. And then lift them all up, bring them all down, squeeze your mat. Release and lift, stretch it out, tap and lift the little toes, and then press the littles down. Lift, take them all down, squeeze your mat again, and then release. We're gonna roll to the ball of one foot and lower and lift. Stay up on the ball, and then let's get a little side rock. Back to center, and then over, and then switch. So roll it, pressing down, lower and lift. As we're doing this, remembering to stand tall. Stay on the ball, and then roll. Come back to center, and then take it over for a stretch. Okay, we're gonna do a similar sequence, but we're gonna keep our heels together. So we're not trying to squeeze the ankle bones together, we're kind of on the inside edge of our heels. If there's such a thing, that's where we're going. And I want you to just think of squeezing the legs together. Now, if you have a tendency to hyperextend your knees and they're hitting, just bend the knees a little bit, just so they're not squeezing together at the knee. The focus is on keeping the ankle squeezing together. So from here, again, we stand up tall, arms at our sides, and then keeping the heels squeezing, we're gonna raise to the balls of the feet and then come back down. So you may not get as big a range of motion with the heels together. We'll see where that goes. And try to think of raising straight up instead of pitching your body forward and then coming back. Imagine that your back is sliding up the wall and back down. If you have a wall behind you. If not, imagine there's a wall and then up you go. Okay, let's just go one more time. And then take it down and separate your heels. Now we're gonna do some squats with the red ball. So take the ball if you have one. I'm gonna go sideways so you can kind of get an idea of the range we're looking for. So the ball is going between the thighs, not right at the knee. Don't press onto the knee joint. And then step your feet so that they're kind of hip distance apart. You know, get a feel that you're squeezing the ball, but that you're not over-engaging or that there's not pressure going into the knees. So then you're gonna set your feet right down below the knee. Sometimes they get a little wide, so just kind of look down, get it arranged, and then you're gonna engage your core and then lift up tall. So as we squat, the arms are just gonna come out front. So I'm thinking just squeeze the butt and sort of push it back toward you. You don't have to go super low. So sometimes in a squat, we let the upper body come down really low. Just think of keeping that length in your spine. So they're just small squats. But what I want you to think about is getting a squeeze on the ball to keep the muscles of the legs really active. So as you can see, I'm not going down super far. Just feeling those muscles get warmed up. And the arms are just flowing. So we're not trying to reach out really far. It's just a smooth movement. Let them swing and come back up. Just a few more. Keep your feet anchored. So think of toes down, heels down. See where you go with this squat. Good, let's go one more. And then raise up. Now I want you to keep the ball there, turn your palms to face behind you, and press back, really stretching into the chest. Take a second, extend your upper back if that feels good. And then turn your head to the side. Come back through the center, turn it the other way. Back to center, and then we're gonna do one more squat. Come up, push your arms back, open the chest, squeeze your arms, turn your head, and then the other side. And center and squat again. I said one more, but I didn't really mean one. Turn and turn, squat, last squat this time. Push back and turn your head. Back to center. All right, we're gonna take the ball out. Still gonna use it though. So let's extend the arms forward, lightly holding the ball, and the ball's gonna go up overhead as if it's touching the wall behind you. And then we're gonna come just to chest height in front, and then push back. So this depends on the mobility in your shoulders. If you have a shoulder issue and pressing it back hurts or just doesn't feel good, don't go as far. Just find a spot that you can go where feels comfortable, but that you're getting a stretch. And then we're gonna keep the ball at chest height in front. Hold it in one hand, press back, and just hold. So see if you can lengthen your arms, lift the chest. We're gonna turn our heads to one side and then the other. Come back to the center, switch the ball to the other hand. Open out, turn your head, other side, back to center. Now let's turn so our palms face behind us and then switch the ball back behind our hips. Still keeping the chest open. Just a few. Warm up the shoulders and arms. We're gonna keep the ball back there. And again, turn your head. Come through center. And once more. And back to the middle. Okay, we're gonna ditch the ball for now. We're gonna go and walk to the back edge of our mat to go down into plank. So we're gonna have a little plank sequence. If this does not work for you, just hold your plank. We're gonna take it down, do some leg lifts, and then come on back. So you can start with your feet together, which will create a little instability. If you want a little more stability, go a little wider and anchor yourself into your mat. So all toes are down, heels are down. We're gonna roll the shoulders back, rotate your arms so palms are away, and take the arms up. Squeezing your legs together, squeezing your glutes. We're gonna extend our backs a little bit for a little bit of a stretch here. You can let your head come back as far as it feels comfortable for you. And then we're gonna round ourselves forward. Belly stay lifted. And then down we go. Get your balance down here. Take your hands to the mat. Bending your knees is okay. So we're gonna walk it out into a long arm plank. So up we go. Set your hands under your shoulders and spread the fingers and thumbs way out. Now take a second to establish a nice strong plank so your arms are pushing into the mat. Your shoulders are away. You've dialed your arms so that the inner aspect of your elbows face forward. Now if your feet are not together yet, step them together. And we're gonna point our right foot and raise the right leg, keeping our plank. Okay, I'm gonna go for 5. If you want to do this, go ahead. If you think less than 5 works better for you, that's all right. All right, and then I'm gonna reestablish my plank. And I'm gonna point the left foot and bring it up. So I'm not trying to kick it super high. I'm keeping everything engaged, trying not to let my hips move around. I've got 2 more. And then the foot's gonna come down and we're gonna shift weight back, pike up your hips, and then walk yourself back towards your feet. And then find your balance back here. Let your head hang. Now we're gonna nod our heads yes. And then bring them back to center and turn them no, side to side. And then back in the middle here, we're gonna reestablish that center and then lift the belly, roll it up. Now take arms out to the sides, raise up. Get that extension again. Round forward. Come down to the mat. So get to a point where your hands are on the mat and you feel stable. So if you wanna step your feet apart a little farther, that's okay. Now we're gonna take it down into a regular plank and hold it for a minute. So walk it out. If you want to come down to elbows and forearms, that's great. Or you can stay with long arms and then settle in. Okay, so timer is started. Feel your body lengthen, feel the belly lift. Press into the mat with whatever is touching the mat, as if you're lifting away. Keep that breath going. Try to stay as still as you can. If you need to take it to the knees, fine. If you need to push to child's pose, that's okay too. Try not to sag at the low back or the shoulders. Push away. 10 more seconds, hang on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees down. All right, shift back into child's pose. So walk it back, get a big stretch here. Fill up your back with your inhale. Lift the belly with your exhale. We're going to shift our weight forward to hands and knees and set up a cat-cow sequence. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders, spread the fingers wide, roll the shoulders back. Okay, so neutral spine to start. Our cores are active, but we're not over engaging the muscles. Take a big breath in. Exhale, lift the belly, start rounding. Push into the mat. And then reverse. And go again, lift, sequence through your spine. See if you can picture stretching the muscles around each vertebrae. And let's go 2 more, roll it. And then bring it back to neutral. We're going to bring the knees together. Find that core engagement. Slide your right leg back behind you. Keep it on your mat for a second. Okay, so get your balance. Imagine that both hip bones are pointing down to the mat, and then you're going to stretch that leg and lift and lower and lift and lower. Similar to what we did when we were in our plank before. Feels a little different from this position. And now we're going to lift and hold. Now I want you to move that leg over to the right as if you're aiming for the back corner of your mat. And then pull it back to center. Keep it lifted so it's going out to the side and back. And out to the side and back. 2 more. So try to keep your body from shifting. We're trying not to droop down toward the mat. So the leg comes back to center. And we're going to bend it, match up your knees, and then push back into child's pose. Let your arms just come in front of you, and then I want you to roll your wrists. So I've got my fingers in a fist, not a tight one, but just to kind of release the wrists and then roll them in the opposite direction. And then place your hands back down. We're shifting weight forward, and we're going back to that same position. So hands under the shoulders, knees are together. Take a second, roll your shoulders back, push away from the mat, push into your fingertips. Okay, get your center. The core is engaged, but not overly so. And then you're going to stretch the left leg back. Keep your foot on the mat. Find your balance. You can press your opposite foot down into the mat if that helps. And then we're going to stretch to lift and then come back down. So the leg, it's not going very high. You're just moving with control. Good, 2 more. And then we're going to take it up and hold. And then think of the back left corner of your mat. So you're taking it out to the side. Pull back to center. Feel the inner thigh muscles on that left leg working. Try not to sink into the mat with your back. Good, 1 more. Bring it back to center. Bend the knee. Match the knees up and then press yourself back. And then again, lighten up your arms, wrists, and then get a little roll in the wrists. And then take it the other direction. Wiggle your fingers. Now let's walk the arms way out in front of us. Lift the chest up. A little upper back extension. And then we're going to shift our weight forward and come down to our forearms and straighten the legs out behind us. Okay, so here there's potential for us to really sink down into our shoulders and low back here. So what I want you to think of is pressing your forearms into the mat and letting the rib cage raise a little bit. So I'm not sinking down like this. I'm thinking of pulling my ribs together in the front. And then just set your legs behind you. They don't have to be together. They can be about hip width apart, shoulders down and away from our ears. So we've got a little core work going, so we're not just sinking. And then we're gonna bend the left leg and flex the left ankle. And then we'll point the foot and place it back down. And then the right. So we flex as it comes in and we point as it comes down. Flex and then point, trying not to sink down into the mat. If you're feeling too much strain in your low back with this, go ahead and take it all the way down. Just let your chest rest on the mat. You can rest your forehead if you want. Keep your cores engaged though. Okay, now we're gonna do a little kick with that left. So it's a kick, and we bring it back down. And then the right, kick. So check in. Once you are familiar and feel confident with this leg movement, it's a little strange, right? You want to double check to make sure you're not sinking down toward the mat with your rib cage, that the core is staying engaged. And then we're going to do one more with each leg. So we're stretching into the muscles in front of the knees, getting the hammies active. Okay. And then now we're going to come all the way down to the mat. Rest your forehead on your hands. And stretch your legs back behind you. Now, raise your right leg, let it hover off the mat, and then take it out toward the right corner of your mat. Bring it back in, and then let it lightly tap. So we lift, bring it out, squeeze back in, and tap. Two more. Keep your pelvis really still. And then let's switch legs. Recenter. Stretch the left leg, let it raise, and then out to the left corner of your mat in the back, and back. Okay, we're going to transition our hands to our sides, and then we're going to go through hands and knees, back down into child's pose. I'm just realizing I might have messed up that last sequence. Now I can't remember if the right leg went out to the corner or not. Well, we'll know when we watch it back. I'm leaving it, guys. All right, we're going to transition our weight forward to hands and knees. And then we're going to swing around to a seated position and use the red ball. Okay. Let's take the legs out in front of us and reach the red ball forward. Reach our arms forward. Use the red ball. As always, if you don't have a ball, it's okay. Shoulders draw down. Pull the belly in. We're going to do a little hinge back and come forward. So as I hinge back, I'm thinking of reaching my legs forward to create a little oppositional force. Makes it a little bit harder. All right, now I'm going to hinge back and hold. And then I'm going to raise the ball. So think long spine. Try not to sink into your hips. Stretch away. Lower the ball to chest height and then come forward. So we do a little hinge and then raise. And lower and back. 3 more here. Just get that core warmed up. Squeeze the legs together and stretch them forward at the same time. Okay, I'm going to take the ball, put it right back behind the upper back. So bra line, base of the shoulder blade area. Bend knees, walk them in towards your hips. So we're going to get some extension here, supported, right? So take it as a nice big stretch. And then draw the belly in and flex forward and back. So just creating a movement pattern for our spine, engaging the abdominals, because then we'll do this later without the ball back here. Focus on leading with your chest and not your face. So I'm pushing my head back into my hands, which again is creating a little oppositional force, so makes it a little more challenging, which is why we're here, right? So picture your spine bending over the ball and then curling forward. Let's go one more time. Curl forward and hold. Okay, from here, we're going to do some little curls up. So don't lift all the way off the ball. And don't go all the way back over it so that your abs do not have a chance to release. Now, I just felt myself leading with my face, so I'm going to take a second, push my head back into my hands again, make sure I've got that extra work. Keeping my neck stable and safe. Let's go 3 more. 2. Curl and hold. Take the arms to the ceiling, reach them forward past your knees, and then we're going to curl a little bit more, like barely touching the ball. Hold it, go back about 2 inches and forward 2 inches. If it helps, you may want to walk your feet forward a little bit. Just think curving your spine, though. We're not coming up with a straight back. We're curling chests toward the legs. Bellies pull in. Curl and hold. Okay, now take the feet forward. Pull the belly and start to round your way all the way up. Okay, ball goes to the legs. So I've got it at the thighs, not right on the knees. Shoulders come down. And let's take hands back behind the thighs. We're gonna roll back till the arms are almost straight. And then deepen the bend of your spine by rolling the hips under you. Shoulders come down, squeeze the ball. Now let's lighten up our hands, take the arms forward. Shoulders down again. Mine were scooting up. And I'm gonna go back about 3 inches and forward 3. Squeeze the ball. Let's go 5 more. 4, pull your hips back as you curl forward. And then we're going all the way up and the hands come down. All right, I'm gonna scoot forward a little bit so I've got enough room for my spine to go all the way down into the mat. So if you were scooting, take yourself forward. Let's take the hands back behind the thighs again, sit up nice and tall, and then lead with the hips, start to roll yourself back. And then we're gonna take it down, but we're gonna try to keep our chests lifted, and then the knees are gonna come in to tabletop and squeeze the ball. So we're gonna do our 50 from here. Chest reach toward the ball, arms are long, and we pump the arms. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, out, in, out, in, out. Last set, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reach your arms long, curl your chest a little bit higher, and then take it all the way down. Now we're going to transition the ball to our ankles. Stretch the legs up. We're going to do 50 more, guys. Here are some options. You can keep the legs up like this. You can take them to tabletop here. You can extend them out. But do what feels most comfortable for you that allows you to keep good form. Okay, so I'm gonna have my arms along the mat. I'm starting up top. Okay, so I'm thinking chin toward the chest, letting my arms reach toward the ends of my mat, and I'm rolling up, rolling up, rolling up. And then I'm gonna just hover my arms. So my muscles are engaged, fingers together, squeezing the ball. I'm gonna lower down a little bit. You try it, see what works for you, and then here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, in, out. Last set, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull the ball towards you. Roll yourself down. Grab your shins and side rock. And then come on back to center. All right, let's move the ball back to our thighs, placing our feet flat on the mat, hip distance apart, but with a little squeeze, arms along our sides. Anchor your toes, anchor the balls of your feet and your heels, and then roll into bridge, just stretching out. So get a nice stretch for the hip flexors. So we're hip extending now, hip extensors. Take a breath in, and then slowly roll it down. Let your shoulders start relaxing. Lose the tension in your neck. Come on back down, and then let's go up one more time. And then roll it down. Back to neutral. All right, we're going to take the ball out and put it to the side. So let's find that spot again where our legs are bent, feet flat, arms along our sides. And then we're going to extend our right leg to the ceiling. Okay. We're going to roll back up to bridge and do a single leg bridge. So lift up the hips, feel the back rib cage, reach for the mat. You're not placing it down. We're just going to pause here for a second. Okay, roll your spine back down. Keep the leg extending to the ceiling. And then we roll back up. So we got some good glute and hammy work on that left leg. And good core work, stabilizing. Now I know mine's not going straight to the ceiling, and that's okay, because for me, neutral pelvis has my leg away on a bit of an angle. So we're gonna go all the way back up and hold. Anchor that left foot into the mat, especially the big toe. We're gonna flex the right ankle, lower the leg down without dropping the hips, and then we're gonna point and lift. Flex, lower, point, lift, anchor back behind your shoulder blades. 2 more. Keep the leg nice and long, and then we roll back down. Slide your left leg out along the mat. Reach behind your right leg, calf or thigh, and we lift up into flexion. This can also be done with head and shoulders on the mat. Hover your left leg, and then we'll scissor 10 sets. One more each leg. Now, both knees are gonna come back into our chest. Get a little rock. And then feet flat to the mat again. Okay, so we've got the left leg now. Arms along our sides. Find neutral pelvis. Anchor the right foot. We're gonna stretch our left leg to the ceiling. And then roll to single leg bridge. And up we go. So right butt is squeezing. Right hammies are getting some work, and roll your spine down, and then back up we go. Try to stay smooth. I'm a little jiggly. And then here comes our last one. We're gonna leave the hips up, keep that leg stretching. We flex the left ankle, anchor the right foot, and we lower and lift for 5, 4, 3, don't drop your hips. Leg stays up, we roll down. Slide your right leg out along the mat, hold behind your left leg. So calf or thigh, not right on the knee joint. Okay, this scissor set can be done with your head and shoulders on the mat, or hands behind your head if you need a little neck support. So we come up into flexion. If that's where you're going, you hover the right leg, get a nice hammy stretch, and then scissor, 10. Keep your chest reaching to the legs. Okay, both legs up, roll it down, bring your knees into your chest, and rock. Okay, let's go feet to the mat. We're gonna roll over onto our sides. So I'm laying on my left, right leg on top. I'm gonna rest my head on my arm. You can bend it if you want. I always like to remind you of that because different arm positions challenge us in different ways. So I find it a little more challenging balance-wise when my arm is out like that. Okay, so we're gonna press our bottom leg down into the mat, point the top foot, take it up, find that spot where you're balanced, flex at the ankle, and then lower down. Let's go 3 more. Now we're going to bring our top leg to about hip height, maybe a little higher, and we're going to stretch our bottom leg up, get them together. Now see if they can both raise a little higher. Now bottom leg is going to stay, and the top is going to lift and lower. I'm just pointing my top ankle the whole time. Try not to let your bottom leg drop. I think that's 6. Okay, legs are staying together, and we're gonna scissor. Top leg moves forward, bottom moves back. Pull through center. We're gonna do 5 sets. There's 2 and 3. Try to keep your balance, 4 and 5. Both legs to center and bring them down. Okay, bend your knees in a little bit. Knees stay down, feet come up. And then raise your top knee. So heels are together, your feet form a little V. So before we start the movement for this one, imagine getting as big a range of motion as you can. So try and really open at the hip. Bottom leg presses down, heels squeeze. And then we come down and lift. Okay, 2 more. Knees come together, feet come down. And we're going to keep the bend in our knees, and we're going to raise our top knee about hip height, okay? And then we're going to move it back and move it forward. So I'm just keeping the bend in my knee. When I bring it forward, I'm definitely pulling it past my bottom knee, so maybe in toward the chest a little bit. Just keep that bend. I think it feels to me like I get a little more glute work with that bend. I don't know why. Maybe I don't. 2 more, I think. I think that's about 10. Good, and then the last one. Match your knees up. We're gonna roll onto our backs for a quick stretch. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh and just open it out. We do not have to do single leg bridge. We did that already. Just give a nice stretch. Oh, but what we have not done is a roll up. Let's try a roll up from here. All right, uncross the legs, stretch them out along the mat. Take the arms to the ceiling and anchor your shoulders a little bit. Now, take the arms back overhead. Don't bring them all the way to the floor. Find a spot where you still feel connected at the underarms. So for me, I think I'm a couple of feet from the floor back there. Okay, squeeze the legs together, stretch them nice and long. The arms go toward the ceiling. Then they start to lower. Then bend the spine, push into the mat. Use your hands if you're stuck, like me. Round forward, reaching. Let's take our arms, raise them a little bit toward the ears, and then raise your chest and your back on an angle. And then come all the way up, reaching for the ceiling. Turn your arms for palms to face away from you, and then bring them down to the mat. I didn't say that well at all. Okay, guys, swing it around. We're gonna lay on right side, left leg on top, and then stretch it out. So set yourself up for a challenge, but also where you feel that you're stable. Stretch that top leg, push down with the bottom. Point your foot, lift and lower. Keep stretching it. Try not to let it release. All right, top leg to about hip height or a little higher if that's where you can get the bottom leg. Point your bottom foot, stretch and lift. Okay, so legs come together and press. Press up with the bottom leg. Then the top leg lifts. Woo, and lower. Almost fell. All right, keep your balance. It's a challenge. Don't let that bottom leg drop down. One more. All right, legs come together, but they stay up. Here's our scissor. Top leg forward, bottom leg back. Find that end range, pull through center. And there's 2. Good, one more each way. Come back to the middle, take them both down. Now we're gonna bend the knees in a little bit for clamshell. So bottom leg stays, knees stay down, feet up, top knee up. Squeeze the heels, make a V with your feet. Press your bottom leg into the mat. Create that resistance and then lower and lift. Get as big of a range as you can, with control though. Three more. Knees together, feet down. Okay, bottom leg stays. Raise that top knee about hip height. And then keeping the bend in the knee, take it back, feel the glutes squeeze, and then bring it past the bottom knee toward the chest. Just try to keep your hips still. Try to keep the knee and the foot tracking on the same plane. And of course, don't forget about your core. 3 more. And then bring it back, match up your knees, and then roll onto your backs. Cross your left ankle over the right thigh. Just get a stretch there. Bring your pelvis into neutral if you can. I'll get into that hip a little bit more. Just take a couple breaths. Let your shoulders relax. Let your faces relax. All right, let's uncross the legs, both feet flat on the mat. Walk them in toward your hips, about hip distance apart. Okay, so earlier we did some chest lifts with the ball back behind us. We're gonna do some now with just our hands back there. So stack your hands, put them back behind your head, let your elbows open out to the sides. So the goal, remember, is not to lead with your face and neck, but with your chest. So feel the neck lengthen by drawing the chin a little toward the chest, and then the chest lifts. And let's just pause here for a second. So press your head into your hands, let your chest reach toward the legs a little bit more. So we are bending our spines. Let's hold here. And then I want you to go back down toward the mat, but don't release all the way. And then curl forward. So chest is leading, head is coming right along with the rest of the shoulder area. And flex. So we're bending our spines. When we come back, don't go all the way to the mat. I'm kind of going to the base of my shoulder blades, so I kind of feel them tap a little bit. Remembering to press my head into my hands. Let's go all the way down. And let our arms come to our sides. Let's bring our knees up into tabletop, looking for neutral pelvis. And we're going to do reciprocal toe taps from here. So take a second and feel like the back shoulder blades are anchoring into the mat, as if you're trying to press your rib cage down into the mat. You'll feel a little bit more core work there. Sometimes I find it harder to do some stuff from a flat laying position because it forces our pelvis to come into neutral. Let's let the left toe come down and just barely touch the mat and raise it back up to tabletop. Now let's go with the right. So one stays up in tabletop. And then switch. I'm feeling that I really need to work to press the back of my rib cage down toward the mat, which is making me work my abdominals much more than when I'm in flexion. So guys, think about that. Think about pressing the ribs down into the mat as we alternate these toe taps. Think about not pushing the belly to the ceiling, but pulling it in so that we kind of have a little, think of the abdominals as a sling between the hip bones. Relax your shoulders. Mine were not. And let's go one more each leg. Great, and then bring the knees into the chest, reach for your shins. Bring them way in to stretch into the low back. And let's do a side rock here. All right, back to center. Let's take the feet to the mat, stretch out the legs. Bring your arms to the ceiling. Squeeze the legs together. Well, we're trying to roll up again. I'm trying. I'm sure you're doing fine. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Squeeze the legs together. Start to lower your arms. Anchor your body into the mat. Bend your spine. Press. Nope, totally didn't make it. And roll up. Stretch over the legs. And then we're going to do that upper back extension again. Raise your arms toward your ears and then start extending your back. Straighten the back. Reach the chest forward. Now we're going to keep our arms reaching and we're going to sit up straight so our arms reach to the ceiling. Cross or stack your hands back behind your head. Put your head into your hands and let's get a little rotation here. Twist. Don't move your hips or your feet. Come back through the center. Think of lifting your spine as long as you can as you twist through the middle. And then one more each way. Getting that rotation. Back to center. Lengthen. Now we're going to do a little side bend to one side. And then center. And then the other. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Just try and keep your hips anchored. I felt myself kind of, my opposite hip lift up. So maybe I went a little far. Stay lengthened. Okay, back to center. Reach your arms to the ceiling and then bring them forward and roll the shoulders. All right, we're gonna do now an upper back extension where we're laying on our bellies again. So let's swing it around. Just work your way down to the mat and bring your foreheads down to your hands. So let's stack our hands, bring the foreheads there. Let your shoulders relax. Stretch out your legs. Try not to kick your equipment. And then just let your shoulders relax. Okay, so keeping the hands stacked here, lift the belly button, anchor your pubic bone. We're gonna keep our arms on the mat, and we're just gonna lift our chests a little bit. So the range is not very big. If this bothers your shoulders, you can take your arms to the sides like we usually do. In fact, we're gonna do that in a second, but just recognize you can press into your arms a little bit and lift the chest. We're not going for a big, huge lift here, just enough to start engaging the upper back muscles. You might feel this kind of underneath the shoulder blades. And then let's let our heads come back down. And then do that again. The belly button lifts first, and then we lift our chest, and our gaze can go out kind of past our hands. Just trying not to lead with the chin and get a lot of flexion in the back of the neck, so we're lifting. Just notice which muscles you're engaging. And then come on back down. Okay, we're gonna take our foreheads all the way to the mat, letting our arms come along our sides with the palms up. Lift the belly button, anchor the pubic bone and hover your arms, pull your fingers toward each other, and then we're just gonna lift our chests a little bit. So it feels a little different when we change our arm position. I'm not looking out as far as I was before. Lift the chest. And then we're gonna take it back down. Foreheads to the mat, arms down. Bellies lift, pubic bones anchor, lift the arms, hover them, squeeze the muscles in the arm, and then lift. Okay, now from here, we're gonna do little presses up with the arms. So it's like 100, but we're flipped over. So it's not a huge movement of the arms, little presses, little presses. We're just gonna keep breathing. Feel the belly button lift. If this ever is too much strain in your low back or neck, take it all the way down. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Let's bend our arms. So place the fingertips, the forearms, and the elbows on your mat. Spread out your fingers and thumbs and imagine that the elbows are pulling down toward your hips. Belly buttons lift, chest lift. Let's leave our elbows down for now. Open the collarbones. So you see how it feels different depending on your hand position. So if you need to alter this at all, go ahead and do that. Okay, from here, you can stay, or you can press into your hands and arms and lengthen. So feel your shoulders come down, get that nice stretch. If it's too much, don't go so high. Go back to that first position. So we come down, elbows and chests, and then forehead stretching into the back of the neck. Let's do that one more time. So the belly lifts, and we start with the upper back. Find that work, the upper back first. You'll feel the low back a little bit. That shouldn't be your main focus. It's upper back, and then we raise. So here's where we do feel a little bit more in the low back, but hopefully no strain. And then we're gonna bring it all the way down, foreheads to the mat. Okay, hands move back, knees come together, and slide it back for child's pose. Hips come down to the heels, chests come down to the legs. Walk the arms way out in front of you. Foreheads can rest on the mat. Feel the spine lengthen. Your inhale fills up your back. Your exhale lifts the belly. And now we're going to raise our faces up a little bit, lift the chest, look out towards your hands. And then the left hand is going to come off the mat, and then the right for a side bend. And bring your chest down toward the legs. Push into the floor, deepen the bend of your spine. Create length from the fingertips on the right all the way through your side into the hip. Your inhale fills up your right lung, expands the rib cage on the right. Now we'll raise chest again, walk it through center, and then off to the right. Bring the chest down, Lengthen the left side. Chest lift, walk at center, and then come back into child's pose. So you can rest your forehead on your hands. You can bring it all the way to the mat. I'm just going to settle here for a second. Let your shoulders relax. Now focus on your breath for a minute. Let the inhale, again, expand your back, both lungs, both sides of the rib cage. Fill it up. Picture the ribs drawing together as you exhale and the belly lifts. And feel the belly lift away from your legs. We're going to transition forward to a hands and knees position, placing the hands right under the shoulders, spreading the fingers way out. And then the knees come under the hips. Feet come up. And then we flex the ankles, wiggle the toes, wiggle the feet a little bit, and then tuck the toes under and stretch those muscles underneath the feet where the toes come in and join at the ball of the foot. And then we're going to hover our knees, shift the weight back, start to straighten your legs. Press your heels to the mat. Feel your chest reach towards your legs. Take a couple breaths here. Let's go up on our toes and back down, working through our ankles one more time. Couple more here. And anchor your feet. Walk your hands to your feet. We're going to stay here for a second. Get to a place where your hands can be on the mat. So if the knees are bent, that's all right. Just feel balanced, feel equal weight into both feet. And we'll nod our heads yes again. Let them come back to center and turn them no. And then back to center. All right, bend your knees a little if they're not already bent. Start to round your back. Feel the belly lift. And then as you come up, start straightening your legs. Straighten your spine, face up, arms come up. Let's get an upper back extension one more time. And then recenter, come down, and then reset your shoulders. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope you had a good class, and I will see you next week.